December 14th, 1986. A man lies motionless in his bedroom. The air is still. On the table beside him, a letter addressed to Singapore's Prime Minister. Nearby, an empty packet of pills. The letter reads, "I have been feeling very sad and depressed for the last 2 weeks. I feel responsible for the occurrence of this unfortunate incident, and I feel I should accept full responsibility. As an honorable Oriental gentleman, I feel it is only right that I should pay the highest penalty for my mistake." The man was Teh Cheang Wan, a trusted minister, a political heavyweight, a man who had once shaped Singapore's future, gone in an instant. To understand the gravity of what happened, we need to go back to the mid-1980s, a period when Singapore was rapidly transforming into the gleaming city it is today. At the center of this transformation was Teh Cheang Wan, the Minister for National Development. His role was critical. He oversaw the country's infrastructure and housing development, wielding immense power over land deals and construction projects. For a nation constantly building and expanding, this role carried enormous influence. But in December 1986, Singaporeans were stunned when news broke that Teh had taken his own life. Few knew at the time that he had been under investigation by the Corrupt Practices Investigation Bureau's. The allegations? Teh Cheang Wan had accepted 1 million Singapore dollars in bribes from 2 property developers in exchange for helping them purchase government land, an act that, if proven, would have been a severe breach of Singapore's zero-tolerance stance on corruption. Before facing questioning, Teh wrote a final letter to Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, a plea, a farewell, and a decision to avoid the humiliation of a public trial. Hours later, he took a lethal dose of sodium amytal, ending his life before justice could take its course. The case sent shockwaves through Singapore. Addressing Parliament, Lee Kuan Yew warned that corruption at the highest levels was an existential threat to the nation's governance. Had the allegations been proven in court, he stressed, they would have shattered public trust and undermined Singapore's hard-earned reputation for integrity, the foundation of its economic success and global standing. This incident cemented the government's zero-tolerance stance on corruption, making it clear that no one, regardless of rank, was above the law. Following the Teh Cheang Wan case, Singapore intensified its anti-corruption efforts, creating one of the world's most stringent frameworks to prevent corruption. The Corrupt Practices Investigation Bureau, CPIB, was given full autonomy, allowing it to investigate anyone, including the highest-ranking officials. To reduce financial temptations, Singapore's public officials became the highest paid in the world. Strict penalties were enforced to ensure corruption carried severe consequences, while regular audits and stringent checks kept government agencies accountable. These measures helped Singapore consistently rank among the least corrupt countries globally. According to Transparency International, Singapore regularly places in the top 10 cleanest governments worldwide. For decades, high-profile corruption cases involving cabinet ministers were virtually unheard of. That is until July 2023, when news broke that would challenge this carefully maintained image once again. Subramaniam Iswaran was once a towering figure in Singaporean politics. Born in India in 1962, he later became a naturalized Singapore citizen. He studied economics at the University of Adelaide and later earned a master's in public administration from Harvard in 1995, credentials that set the stage for his influential role in shaping Singapore's economic and trade policies. Before entering politics, he gained experience in both the public and private sectors, starting at the Ministry of Trade and Industry, MTI, and later moving to Temasek Holdings, where he worked on high-level financial strategies. In 1997, he entered Parliament as an MP for West Coast GRC under the ruling People's Action Party PAP. Over the next 2 decades, he held key ministerial roles in trade, communications, information, and culture, earning a reputation as a skilled technocrat. By 2021, he had reached the peak of his career as Minister for Transport, with over 25 years in government. However, his downfall came swiftly as corruption allegations tarnished his decades-long career. On July 12, 2023, Singaporeans woke to shocking news. The CPIB was investigating a cabinet minister. Later that day, it was confirmed, as Iswaran was under a corruption probe. Details were scarce at first, but then Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong announced that Iswaran had been placed on leave. The revelation sent shockwaves through Singapore's political scene. It had been nearly 40 years since a minister of his stature faced such allegations. As journalists probed further, one name kept emerging: Ong Beng Seng. Ong is no ordinary businessman. He's a Malaysian-born property tycoon and one of Singapore's most prominent billionaires. His company, Hotel Properties Limited, HPL, owns numerous luxury hotels worldwide and valuable real estate across Singapore. Perhaps most notably, Ong was instrumental in bringing Formula One racing to Singapore in 2008. The Singapore Grand Prix night race quickly became one of the most prestigious events on the F1 calendar and a major tourism draw for the country. The connection between Iswaran and Ong began to raise eyebrows. As Transport Minister, Iswaran had been involved in negotiations to extend Singapore's F1 contract. He had also served as the chairman of the F1 steering committee. Had there been improper exchanges of gifts, favors, or financial benefits? Speculation ran rampant as Singaporeans awaited more details. After months of investigation, on January 18, 2024, Iswaran was formally charged with 27 offenses. These included 2 counts of corruption, 1 count of obstructing justice, and 24 counts of receiving valuable items as a public servant. The prosecution alleged that Iswaran had accepted gifts valued at more than 400,000 Singapore dollars from Ong between 2015 and 2022. These included flights on Ong's private jet, luxury hotel stays, and tickets to exclusive events including F1 races, football matches, and concerts. Iswaran was accused of accepting these gifts in exchange for advancing Ong's business interests, particularly those related to the Singapore Grand Prix. When his charges were announced, Iswaran took 2 decisive steps. He resigned from the government, vacating his ministerial positions and parliamentary seat, stating in his letter to Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong that while he maintained his innocence, stepping down was in the country's best interest. He also pleaded not guilty, signaling his intent to fight the case in court. However, he later reversed course, pleading guilty to multiple corruption charges, including accepting valuable gifts from Ong Beng Seng while in public office. The court heard that these gifts were intended to influence his decisions, particularly regarding Singapore Grand Prix contract renewals. The prosecution sought a 6 to 7 month prison term, citing damage to public confidence, while the defense argued for no more than 8 weeks, highlighting his decades of service. On October 3rd, 2024, the judge sentenced Iswaran to 12 months in prison, making him the first cabinet minister in nearly 50 years and the first in modern Singapore to be jailed for corruption. Many Singaporeans expressed disappointment with the sentencing, feeling that it did not reflect the country's strict stance on corruption. Online discussions showed that some members of the public believed the punishment should have been harsher to reinforce accountability at all levels of government, with some calling the punishment a joke and questioning whether the elite was truly held to the same standards as ordinary citizens. After serving 4 months behind bars with exemplary behavior, on February 7th, 2025, Iswaran was transferred to the home detention scheme. Prison authorities determined he had a low risk of reoffending, strong family support, and had committed no institutional offenses during his incarceration. This allowed him to serve the remainder of his sentence in the community under strict monitoring after completing 2/3 of his reduced term. For Ong Beng Seng, he was arrested on 11 July 2023 in connection with the corruption case involving former Transport Minister S. Iswaran. On 4 October 2024, he was charged with 2 counts under the Penal Code and released on 800,000 Singapore dollars bail. Ong's bail was extended on 28 February 2025, and he is set to plead guilty to both charges on 2 April 2025. The Iswaran case will likely be remembered as a defining moment in Singapore's political history, the most significant corruption scandal involving a cabinet minister since the Teh Cheang Wan case nearly 4 decades earlier. It serves as a powerful reminder that the fight against corruption is never completely won. Even in a system widely regarded as one of the cleanest in the world, vigilance remains necessary. What do you think about this case? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video informative, please subscribe for more stories. Thank you for watching.